Hey guys, what's up? We're back. Relationships, romance, and quarantine, aka relationships, romance, and propaganda. I am film director Imani Shakur. This is the beautiful Rachel K. Burke that you guys are seeing to my left. I'm a film director. She's an author actress. These are her books. Pick these up. Love Bites and Sound Bites. You have nothing to do while you're at home anyway. Google these. Amazon will deliver them. Wash your hands right after you get them and read them. You know what I'm saying? We are a relationship podcast, man. We're on every streaming platform. Thank you guys for listening. You can also catch us on YouTube, ISCT Group Digital, if you want to watch us. Most of you listen, but we'd love for some of you to watch us and subscribe. That would be great. We expose the truth and broadcast the lies every week. Follow us on social media. rptalktruth@gmail is the Gmail. And last week we did a special on dating, with this quarantine and COVID-19 and stuff like that. And this week we're talking about, is monogamy natural? Or is it, what is it? Is it monogamy unnatural, Rachel?
That's what the article we're going to talk about, the title of it is monogamy unnatural? Right.
So when I first met Rachel, I was telling her that, me and my previous co-host, we did it, but it was two guys. And I've always wanted a female's perspective on this subject. So I'm happy that we're finally going to tackle it today. Some of you think it's natural. Some of you think it's unnatural. I'll let you guys know what I think as the show goes on. But I think it's a very interesting, deep subject about sex and monogamy and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So what were you saying, Rach?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just going to tell you something funny because we talked about dating in the corona virus era last week.
Yeah.
And so I was telling you how I had a couple guys that popped out of the woodwork that had totally ghosted me. They're trying to hang out right now.
Right.
And so it was so funny. So after I posted that clip last night, so you know how I called out the four guys,
mm-hmm.
and one of them was the guy who had talked to me for 2 hours on the phone. We had this great phone date. He was like, I can't wait to meet you, and then disappeared.
Right.
And then tried coming back around when all this was going on. And I was like, no, you totally disappeared. You know what I mean? So after I posted that clip last night, he unfollowed me on Instagram.
Oh my goodness.
So
he probably got upset.
Right.
Oh,
so
she's
he
talking
either
about me. I'm not, yeah.
So he either knew I was referring to him in
Absolutely.
that clip, or he watched the whole thing and really heard me get into it.
Right. One of the two. Listened to the whole thing and was like, yeah, probably so.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, probably so. That's so funny.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny because that's happened to me a bunch of times too, where I've gone out with these guys and they've disappeared, but they all still follow me on Instagram. Like the Connecticut guy is still following me on Instagram too.
Right.
Like we had a bad ending,
Right.
So isn't that interesting? Why, would you ever keep following a girl if you ghosted her?
If we had a bad ending, no.
Or if you ghosted her? I mean, I know you don't do that, but hypothetically, if you did.
I wouldn't. No.
Right. What is the point of that?
Yeah, any ex that I had a bad ending with, I completely cut off. I unfollow, I block them. If we had a cool ending, we stay cool.
But let's say you went out with a girl and for whatever reason you stopped calling her.
Mm-hmm.
Would you still continue to follow her?
No.
Right?
Why?
Right.
Yeah.
I have enough Instagram friends. Thank you.
Right. Exactly. Why?
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. Mm-mm.
So interesting.
I agree. I would not.
It kind of goes back to the pen pal thing we talked about, right? It's you want to be virtual friends, but not hang out in real life.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's strange.
So I was happy. I was actually happy he unfollowed me because he would watch all my stories and it just annoys me, right? Because I'm like, why are you watching my whole life, but you don't want to be a part of my life?
Right. It's interesting. That's the crap people do, man. And one of the things, before we get into it, one of the things that kind of bugged me about this self-quarantine thing right now, I mean, I'm looking outside. It is a beautiful day, man. I'd love to be at the winery right now, sipping on some white with my feet up in one of the chairs. It's so nice out today.
Well, you know what I'm doing this weekend? Nobody judge me here, but Jess, who we had on the podcast, she bought a house in Palm Springs. and she's been there, quarantined for weeks,
Mm-hmm.
with a friend of hers, and her mom was there for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so my friend and I are like, can we come down for the weekend?
Yeah.
Because like we're going stir crazy over here. And she was like, yeah, as long as you haven't been exposed to anyone, because her mom is there and is older.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I've literally, like, I'm even getting grocery delivery. I'm not even going to the store.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to go down there. I'm just going to stay for because it's going to be like 80s all next week.
That's
and
awesome.
She has a pool and everything. I'm like, I'm taking advantage of this.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Especially if you guys been cool too. Yeah, why not? I don't blame you.
And honestly, like I'd rather do that than go to a bar anyways.
Oh, exactly.
I want to like make some frozen drinks by the pool,
Yeah, exactly, man. I wish that I could come meet you, but I can't.
I know. But I did, I gave my friend your advice also last night, and she said thank you.
Oh, okay, yeah. At any time, yeah, definitely, man. She seemed like I said, she seemed like a really cool girl. She needs to just become secure, and then people will,
strong.
Yeah, for sure. Just get strong. That's all.
Yeah,
man. So let's talk about this monogamy thing. What do you think? So I mean, this lady Kristen, she had some very good points, man. And some people believe it, some don't. You want to share some points first, and then we get into it, or how do you want to do it?
You know what I thought was interesting is I didn't look at who wrote the article when I read it.
Mm-hmm.
I automatically assumed it was a man.
No, it's a woman.
I know. And then at the very end, she says, I'm just a woman who whatever. And I was like, oh, a woman wrote this. That's interesting.
That's what's cool about it. Yep.
Because I think, more often than not, people tend to stereotype men as the ones who want variety, right?
Right.
And women
when
who want
it's women.
Yeah.
But I like her whole theory on it though, like everything that she actually said. I'm taking a picture for our social media, but
okay.
I like the whole theory on it. Everything she said. It made a lot of sense to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I mean, basically to our listeners, the overview is this woman writes this article for CNN that goes into the history of monogamy because, basically back, before the 18th century, marriage wasn't for love. It was actually to protect your assets.
Right.
So, and also she points out that people back then didn't really live so long, right? Because they didn't have the medicine that we have now. So you got the variety in a way that was accepted because, your first wife or husband could die by the age of 40 and then you remarry and then you remarry. So you get that variety, but also it's socially acceptable.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. And then she, goes into the whole, basically scientific overview of animals and how, because, humans, we're essentially animals.
Right.
And if you look at the animal kingdom, there's really only a few animals that are monogamous. And they're, I guess, looking into it, they're not even that monogamous.
Right. They're
not all of one species is.
Right.
Dug into it. Like, most are not. Yeah, and we're all animals,
Yeah.
So, so yeah, and then she talks about like nowadays, it's kind of unrealistic, right? She talks about like, so you have one partner for 50 years, right? Because the average age that people marry is usually like mid to late 20s, and most areas of the world, and then people statistically don't die until like about their late 70s.
Right.
So, she's talking about how like you have this one partner for 50 years. Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Probably get sick of them.
A very long time. How do you handle that sexually, physically,
Well, I think that's why a lot of men tend to complain, right? That after you're married for a long time, you're not getting as much sex. Because I think men are kind of simple, like if their wife wants to have sex, they'll have sex, right?
Right.
I think most married couples, like as time goes on, you at least want it, I don't know, maybe once a week, right? Like,
Yeah.
have you seen the new show that's on Hulu right now? It's called Little Fires Everywhere with Reese Witherspoon and Kerry
Mm-mm.
Washington.
Mm-mm.
So, oh, it's fantastic. You should watch it.
All right, I'll put it on my list. Yeah.
Oh, it's Kerry Washington is just
Oh, she's
amazing.
awesome.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so she's basically like a struggling single mom, and Reese Witherspoon is like very wealthy, and she kind of hires her to do things around the house, and Carrie's daughter becomes friends with her kids, but it's like total different families, right? Because Kerry Washington is not wealthy or well off at all,
Yeah.
and Reese is like, and her husband are loaded. So what I was going to say is, in the show, Reese and her husband have a schedule where they have sex on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
but you can't put it on a schedule though, right? Like
they do.
Oh
and,
my God.
Well, and it's so funny because I think a lot of couples, I mean, maybe don't have a schedule, but I think, they probably, I think a lot of women maybe try to at least keep their men happy, I would hope, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's sort of the stereotype, is like women have kids, they don't feel sexy, they stop wanting to be intimate with their partner, and ultimately that leads to divorce. So I remember, I think my uncle said this to me, that divorce is usually driven by two factors: sex and money.
Yep.
Or even just what couples fight about is generally sex and money.
Generally sex and money. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think, a lot of people now, I think that's why open marriage is kind of becoming more popular, or people are getting married later in life, right? Because
becoming more popular.
Yeah. Like, let's have fun right now. Right? Like, I kind of want to get it out and just have a crazy time in my 20s and 30s.
Yep.
And then maybe if I'm in my 40s not feeling as sexy.
Yep. You want to know what's funny about you saying that? That was kind of dawning on me like late last year.
Okay.
We're in March, right? Yeah. That was kind of dawning on me, because I was feeling as if, even though I'm 47, just turned 47, but I always say I look 37 and work out like I'm 27.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, though, mentally, because for me it's not even a physical thing, because I have the actual stamina. Mentally, I feel as if I'm in a different space, to where I don't want to be screwing everything that moves.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say? I actually want to promote this episode, so I'm not going to curse. But
okay.
So I don't want to be screwing everything. But I tend to value just being with that one solid person that I think is fine as hell.
Well, I think
we just vibe and click. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think your hormones actually change as you get older as well, right? So, I mean, like, because think back to when you were a teenager or in your 20s, it's like you want anything that walks, right? And I mean, I was the same way as a teenager. It was just, I remember at 13, my hormones hit, and I was just like, where do we go? The woods, just like, it was this thing that just came over my body. But, as you get older, you don't really, like, those hormones kind of fade. And I think what we're doing now, honestly, is smarter, where I think people are getting married later in life, not only from a hormone perspective, but also because you really know who you are as an adult. Right. So I think you're less likely to get divorced if you kind of get your craziness out when you're younger.
Exactly. I agree.
And just grow as a person, right? And figure out who you are and what you want. And then if you settle down when you're a little bit older, I think you have a much better success
chance. Yeah, success rate. Yeah, because I'm not, if someone was asking me, I'm not interested in like being with a bunch of different girls or banging a bunch of different girls or whatever. I'm just not interested anymore. Yeah. Like when I was younger, when I was in my 20s and 30s, of course, like you say, you're just wild and crazy running around. Then it makes more sense. You're just like figuring stuff out, just having fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But now I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's the energy it takes. Like,
I know you don't have that energy anymore.
Like, I don't want to do that. It's like, you know what I mean? You're like focused on making some millions, building the house in Temecula, and like you know what I'm saying? Making the
Yeah.
films and making sure my daughter is becoming a teenager the right way. You just have more things that needs your energy than
Yeah.
6 women you happen to be sleeping with at the same time. You know what I mean?
You know what's interesting is not everyone is like that. So my friend who is in the open marriage, I swear to God, he's like a teenage boy. Like he just wants every pretty girl he sees. But I wonder if that is because, so you remember Kelsey, who we had on the podcast also, when we talked about astrology, she calls some people, and he's one of them, she calls him a second chancer. Because she said, you know, I think he really peaked when he was older. Like, because basically what she's saying is like he was kind of an awkward, not very attractive when he was younger, right? Like he wasn't the hot kid in high school. So it's almost like I think now he's trying to make up for lost time. Right. Because now like he really wasn't handsome, honestly. I mean, I even saw pictures of him in his like 30s and like, no. So I think he really kind of peaked in his 40s, and now he's handsome and he can get all these girls that he could never get when he was younger. So I think that's why he has to do the open marriage thing, because even though his, you know, like even though his wife is beautiful and she's amazing, I think he probably feels like he missed out, right, on all those years of not getting all these hot girls, and now he can do it. So he's like a teenage boy. So I think we're all different, right? I think, you know, I mean, it sounds like you probably dated a lot of people when you were younger and got to know a lot of people. Yeah. So you've probably got that out of your system. Because my uncle got married when he was 25, which is really young now looking back. But he was a playboy. I mean, he's like Rich. I was crazy. Like I kind of needed to settle down, because I think he probably would have got himself in trouble, you know?
Yeah. That's funny. I mean, to answer the question in the article, I actually think it is unnatural. Even though I understand it, I do think monogamy is unnatural. I don't think it's a natural thing at all.
Well, think about this, right? This is what I was going to ask you when we talked about this today. Think about the world if we did not have monogamy.
Yep.
Like, how would that work, right? Like, let's say you meet someone, you like them, you're, you know, intimate with them, whatnot, you're spending time with them. But if it's socially acceptable to just be with whomever, do you still get jealous, right? Like, do you still want to spend all your time with that person? Do you get jealous if they're with someone else? Like, really think about that. Like, how would that work?
Yeah, that's true. It wouldn't work well.
It would or wouldn't?
It wouldn't work well.
No. But I don't know. What if that's just what everyone did? Like, what if that's just
if it started off like that? Yes, it would.
Yeah.
I think because we're so conditioned to be monogamous, you know, we feel like that. But I think if it started off like that, you're right. We probably wouldn't care.
Yeah.
That's just how we've been conditioned.
Right. Because what if just, you know, culturally it was weird to just hang out with one person?
Right. Or just be with one person. I don't
know, because I'm pretty monogamous by nature. So, because I don't like a lot of people. So when I do, and I do want to spend time with them. I don't know. I think it would probably be a matter of me just accepting, like, okay, I'm just gonna, like, if I was, let's say, hanging out with a guy who I liked, and if he was different, maybe he had a lot of options, and I'm just kind of picky and I don't. Maybe it's just a matter of me just accepting, like, okay, you're gonna go hang out with other girls, you know, I'll see you next week or whatnot, and maybe I just don't really do that with a lot of people. You know, it just might not be even, I guess, depending on the person. Yeah. But I don't think I would be, I don't know if I would be jealous. I don't know. I feel like I kind of would still be, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, you're going to hang out with this other person. I want to hang out with you. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be spending that time with you.
You would. Yeah. Absolutely. And another thing too that I brought up on the last show that I want to bring to you because you're a female, obviously, is the biological and physiological aspects of it as well, of monogamy.
That was one of my screenshots.
Yeah, because, you know, and I always say this, a woman has to be entered. What we have hangs off of us. And certain things, I'm saying, you have a vagina, we have a penis. You have to be entered. You know what I mean?
Okay, physically.
And physically, as I'm saying, I'm talking about the physiological aspects of it and biological and science. So, and certain things happen with you chemically and more emotionally when a man sleeps, when a man sleeps with you, that doesn't happen with us.
Well, it's the orgasm, because we release oxytocin, which basically, yes, we, but it's actually only when we orgasm.
Okay.
Then we become attached physically and emotionally to that person. Yeah. That's
what I'm saying. And see, that doesn't happen with men. We don't,
right.
You know what I mean? So what I was saying before, I mean, we get, cause men are so physical, but chemically those things don't happen with us. We can get emotionally attached to you.
They do get attached because
men get emotionally right. They do get attached. I totally agree with you because of
honest
sex.
to God, every guy who's ever told me that he loved me for the first time, it was always right after sex or during sex. It's like this intimate moment that just overcame them. And also, and I think this might be because my last two exes were in like a sexless marriage for so long. Because even my ex in Boston was with his son's mother for 8 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think they weren't really intimate by the end. So that's kind of, and that's why, you know, when we talked about like sometimes you sleep with somebody right away and you end up with them. I think in those cases, both of them became really emotionally attached to me right after we slept together. But I think it's because they hadn't felt that physical intimacy from a woman in so long, right?
Yeah.
Because they were in a sexless marriage. So I think they like started to associate that physical connection with emotional connection.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I think if men are just sleeping with whomever and then you sleep with them on the first night, I don't think that's going to happen, right?
No.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And then another side of it too is, you know, when it comes to rearing of children, like if a woman was just going around sleeping with whoever, how would she know who the father is?
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
We don't have to worry. Men don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean? Which is why if you start looking at some of the spiritual aspects of it, because women's argument is always, well, why is it one-sided? Why is it that you guys can do whatever and we can't? And I always go, it's not that we can do whatever we want and you can't. It's that spiritually, physically, scientifically, biologically, things go on with you that does not go on with us when you sleep around.
Right.
For example, like I said, you wouldn't know who the dad is. How do you pick? You have 6 guys do a DNA check? But you understand what I'm trying to say? If you think about all that stuff for like a quick second.
Right.
You know? Which is why spiritually women, you know, have always been valued like you guys are actually worth more than we are. Because, and it's not that, oh, you can't do what you want. We're saying you're actually worth more. So if you go to the mall,
well, because I mean,
and have sex with 5 people, they'll call you bad things. If I do it, they won't say nothing. But it's deeper than just this surface thing that everyone is actually thinking.
And they also say we're the stronger sex as well.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because think about like people who have died of drug overdoses. They're predominantly men.
Yeah.
Right. Like women, like we can keep ourselves busy. We're strong.
That's so true. You're absolutely right. I never thought about that before. You're absolutely right.
Right. Like
even with this COVID-19, predominantly men are the ones that are dying.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, and women live longer as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just even from like an addict mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of my guy friends from back home, there's a bad drug problem there, and all of my guy friends are dead. All the women are fine.
Yeah, see?
And it's so interesting because I think we're strong. We know, like if we have downtime right now, I'm not bored. I can fill my days with whatever, keep myself busy. So, because this guy that I'm hooking up with right now he has an addictive personality, and he had a problem and got into a lot of trouble. So now he can turn his life around. He can't drink or anything anymore. And I can feel that when I'm with him, that he's like all over the place, like doesn't know what to do with himself. Right. And I'm just like, I'm like the strong one who's like, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's watch a movie. Let's order dinner. Like, let's just chill. Like you don't have to be running a mile a minute. Like he can't sit still. And I've been with so many men like that. Yeah, it's very interesting. But what I was going to say scientifically in this article is when she talks about the chemicals, in all of us, because she says among humans we have certain chemicals basically to be monogamous, but it varies from person to person how much we have. So she said, based on brain wiring alone, the inclination towards fidelity can vary dramatically from one individual to another. So, if somebody is prone to infidelity, she said it might have as much to do with their brain wiring as it does with their upbringing.
Right.
So, even if, let's say, you're raised in a broken home, or not, you could still, I think, turn out to be just not monogamous by nature, because it might just be genetic, it might be scientific.
But what about the thing they always say about men being 80% physical and 20% emotional, and women being the opposite? Women being 20% physical and 80% emotional.
No.
What do you think about that? That's what they've always said,
No, that's a very I think that's a very dramatic
shift, right? What do you think the number is closer to?
I would say like 60-40.
Okay, that makes sense. Women are like 40%.
But it depends. I don't know though. I'm more physical than some men.
Okay.
Like, because some, I like to sleep with somebody like multiple times a day. I'm not a one and done.
Right.
And so like last weekend, this guy is just kind of a one and done. Like he just, like, I'm like, we're hanging in bed all day watching movies. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, what else are we going to do?
Women are usually like that, and men. Yeah, but I think, go ahead. I'll let you finish before I interject.
Yeah, but no, I had to initiate the second round, and he was, and he was kind of caught off guard. Like, oh, okay, yeah, we can go again. And he couldn't finish the second time, and he was just like, oh, I'm not used to like a second round. It's like, I haven't done this in a long time. Like he's just kind of a one and done. And I'm like, I want to stay in bed all day and like go for round 3,
Yeah.
So I think that varies from person to person as far as physical. I do think definitely I think I'm not the norm though. I think a lot of women are more emotional than physical. Right. I'm definitely more physical than emotional.
Got you. So let's go back to what you just said about the guy. So he isn't special, right? I mean, we all are pretty much like that.
Like what, one and done?
Yeah, and I'm explaining. Yeah, I'm explaining to you why. And see, this is the other side of it that people don't really get into when researching stuff like that. So let's talk about procreation real quick, right? Sex was made first to procreate as a species. It only feels good because we wanted to make sure we procreated. Think about it. If sex didn't feel the way it felt, half of us wouldn't be here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was for procreation first and foremost. Secondly, it was for pleasure and so on and so forth, right? So the way we're wired by science, after we ejaculate, that means a baby can happen. Right. We've ejaculated. And everything about us goes completely down, and we go, why am I even here? That naturally, automatically happens. We go, why did I just do that? And it's not that we don't want to be there and do that. It's just science and biology. We've procreated now, or at least implanted the seed for procreation.
Mm-hmm.
So everything about us comes down. You know what I mean? And because go ahead.
Hours and hours later, don't you get horny again?
Not necessarily. Sometimes. It depends on what you're taking. I mean, it literally can take 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
You know, so
I think that's just based on hormones, right? Because
yeah,
like,
I don't know. I don't know if it's hormones. I'm talking about just science right now, how we're wired. You know, most men, once we ejaculate, we don't even necessarily want to be there anymore. It's just a whole emotional, physical things that happens with us. And it's all because of procreation. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Right.
It's simply procreation, right?
Yeah,
so, which is why, and I'm going to keep going, which is why if you study books like Cultivating Male Sexual Energy, it makes so much sense. Mm-hmm. And guys and girls listening, look that book up. Read it for females if you want to understand male sexual energy. Men, read this book. It'll change your life. I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. Which is why in this book, they talk about practicing non-ejaculation when you're having sex so that you can sustain and be there and stay in it. And the interesting thing about it is when you do this, you actually feel like you're still having sex for the rest of the day. Why? So because you
don't finish?
No, why? Because the feeling that made you want to come is better than coming itself. Mm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if you practice the big draw, as they say in this book, and you don't finish, as they say, quote unquote, you literally can be going to dinner later that evening with the same woman and still feel as if you're having sex.
I feel like that's probably so hard to do.
And still come home and do it again without finishing. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. If you study the concept, then you could have sex all day and he could keep getting erect. He's not ejaculated. The guy never emotionally comes down. Mm-hmm. He's in it still. You know what I'm saying? And then at the end of the whole day, the sixth time you guys have smash, shake the shoes, love, whatever, 4, 3, 2, whatever. Then if he wants to finally finish, he can. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think most men aren't going to have that willpower.
Hey, this book's a #1 bestseller, so I'm sure a lot of guys out there are doing it.
Interesting.
Without any drugs, without any pills, without anything.
Well, but that's not everybody though, because like this was what kept my ex and I together for so long is like, Imani, he could finish, 5 minutes would go by and he was ready again.
And I bet you he was taking something.
No, he doesn't take. So? He doesn't take anything. Okay. No,
men don't want to admit that because our blood flow, our mental, that's all like science. So
no, that's just how he was. But I think it was kind of going back to being in a sexless marriage for so long.
Okay.
And he grew up in Utah, which it's very like taboo. Like he was like, I didn't even sleep with anyone till college because he was so scared of like getting pregnant or anything.
Got you.
So I think it was like years and years and years of this like repressed sexuality that he could finally, because he told me like until he met me, he thought women didn't enjoy sex. And him and his ex-wife would sleep together maybe once a month. So I think it was like, oh my God, she likes this. And it was just like, he could go and go and go. But no, some guys are like that. Like I was with a 28-year-old guy like last summer and same thing, 3 times in a row. Like he could just go and go and go.
Yeah.
So I think every guy is different. I think some of them are one and done and some of them can just go and go and go and like too. I think everyone, I think everyone's hormones are different. And,
among men, and they don't tell you that because why would they, right? Most of them are taking something. It's so much stuff out there. I'm just telling you, among men that I know, young and old, most of them are taking something.
No,
And
my
it's
ex,
so
my ex
much
wouldn't even
stuff.
take aspirin. He
Right.
was
Well, I'm saying maybe not your ex, but
Mhm.
believe it or not, most of them dudes are taking something. And like, I'm just telling you from a man, because I know, and I talk to my friends, most of them are taking something. Ladies, if you listen, don't believe the hype. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Most of them are taking something. I'm not saying that there aren't men out there who could do that. I've been able to do that. Can I do it every time? Absolutely not. Even when I was younger, I couldn't do that every time. You know what I mean? And the times that I have been able to do that, I was super, super, super turned on. Super turned on.
Mhm.
It was something about that woman, and I think that can happen as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that could happen as well. You know, but yeah, but definitely amongst
That's what I
men,
want. I want
yeah,
someone who's just so smitten with me, they just want to do it
right,
3 times
right.
in a day.
But Rachel, I'm telling you, ladies out there listening, that's not the norm. It's really hard for us to do that for a lot of reasons. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? For a lot of reasons. It goes beyond, you know, attraction. It goes beyond any of that. It's just science. You know,
Yeah,
just to put it plainly.
that's tough for me. You know, like I
Yeah,
like a guy who, that's kind of one of my
yeah,
prerequisites. I like a guy who can keep up with me.
yeah.
Um,
And most women are like you. They can go and go, and they want to go and go. I'm seriously, most women are like you, because you guys don't have to. I know you guys have to get wet, but you guys don't have to have that blood flow happen continuously to cause
right,
that erection.
right.
That's something completely different. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah, we can have multiple orgasms easier.
Right.
But also, I don't orgasm with somebody that I don't know. Like if I
Yeah,
sleep with someone
you
for the
said that before. Yeah.
yeah, I have to really be comfortable with them and know them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's that piece of it too, probably, is
Mm-hmm.
I want to keep going. You know, I want to go again and again because I haven't got off yet.
Right. Exactly. You know, so
Yeah.
I know for me, usually when I'm with someone, and if it's someone new or whatever, I always try to find out what is it for her that gets her to that point. That's what I always try to find out, and I always try to work on that and make sure that happens. I'm not one of them selfish type of guys. I always try to make that happen. That's how I am.
I kind of like when they leave it alone, to be honest, because then I feel that pressure of
Mm-hmm.
like if a guy is like, you know, did you get off? Like what gets you off? Like then it's harder for me because
Got
then
you.
I feel
Okay.
like I have to, or they're going to be disappointed, you know?
Got you.
And
Yeah.
because like with some guys, you know, and I'm not saying you do this, but
Mm-hmm.
for some men, it's like they want you to get off because it's like an ego boost for them, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the guy in Connecticut, perfect example. I told him I don't like when men go down on me. I don't like oral sex.
Yeah.
I'll give it. I don't like to receive it.
Right.
And he would still do it anyways. And I told him again that I didn't like it. And then like we'd be, you know, kissing and stuff, and he'd be like, "Oh, I just really want to go down on you. Why? Why? Why, if you know that I don't like it, do you want to do that? You
Because he
know what
want
I
to
mean?
please you in that way. That's why he feels connect. He
Because he
wants to
needs an
please
ego
you in that way.
boost. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
like I just felt like he needed an ego boost.
Okay. I've
Um,
never looked at it as ego. For me, I just really want to make sure the woman is being pleased. And it's not something that I do in the beginning.
yeah.
Once we have sex a few times and I see that it's not happening, then I start
But if she
the
tells you she doesn't like it,
communication. Oh, that's completely different. Then I'm
you
not
know
going
what
to
I mean?
do
You're
it.
not going to do it
Then I'm not going to do it.
or want to
Yes.
do it.
Or
Yeah,
want to do it. Because then I know that that's not pleasing you.
right.
So in his case, I don't know why or he could have just loved to like do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he could have loved to do that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I felt like that. I felt like he needed an ego boost, and so getting women off that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he couldn't last long enough during sex to get a woman off. So
See,
maybe that
it
was
could have been that as well.
yeah.
You
But
know?
it's funny. Like this guy I'm sleeping with now. Like he is totally selfish. Like doesn't ask about me, and I'm like great.
Yeah. You just want to. Yeah.
Because like yeah, then there's no pressure, you know,
Got
because
you.
like I always feel like I'm disappointing them, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because most guys get like their ego gets very hurt. And I
Mm-hmm.
swear to God, that's why the guy last summer broke up with me because he got so frustrated and he was like, I can't get you off. And I was like,
Yeah.
dude, we've been dating like a month. Like, chill.
Yeah.
It's okay. It'll happen, you know?
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen if you keep putting that pressure on me and asking over
Yeah.
and over. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, just let me relax, get in my own head.
Yeah.
If it happens, it happens. If not, it's nothing about you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yeah.
obviously attracted to you if I'm being intimate with you.
Right.
It's just, I need to be comfortable and get into a point in my head. And honestly, like, it goes back to hormones too. Like, depending on where you are in your cycle of the month, like some days, I mean, it can happen in 2 seconds. Some days I can't, you know, it's just, it all comes down
Yeah,
to,
that's true. Yeah,
you
that's
know?
true.
Yeah.
And again, for me, it's never been ego. I just genuinely care. I'm just not a selfish lover. I've just genuinely always cared.
Yeah.
You know, to make sure you having a good time. It's never been about my ego at all, ever. You know.
Yeah, but I
agree that some guys probably do it for that reason, or want to do it for that reason. I totally agree.
Yeah,
you know?
but I mean, it's easier for me actually with the guys who are selfish, because my ex was selfish too. He didn't care if I did or I didn't. But so that works for me because it takes that pressure off. And then it's like, okay, you know, let's do this now. Yeah.
Exactly. That's cool. So are you saying that? So again, I just bringing it back down to our topic. I don't believe that monogamy is natural, but I do agree with it, and I do practice monogamy. You know what I'm saying? But I don't agree that it's natural, and I also agree that women need to be more careful with it than men do because of procreation and rearing of children.
But I don't know though, because I mean, you did say that if monogamy wasn't a thing and you like spending time with somebody and then she's going off with some other guy, you're not going to like that, right?
No, I wouldn't. Yeah.
So I feel like you're kind of saying it is natural to an extent.
Yeah.
Because if you like someone and you have feelings for them, you're going to want to spend time with that person, and you want them to spend time with you, and you're not going to want this woman that you like or you have feelings for, that you're attracted to, going out with a bunch of other guys, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean,
it's kind of like a dual thing. It's like, you know, I understand what Kristen was saying in this article, but I understand what you're saying too, you know. And for our listeners out there, just Google, you know, is monogamy natural, CNN, it'll come right up, and leave comments and stuff like that and hear what you guys think.
I don't know. I do kind of think it's natural, because I think that's going to happen where, you know, you might be, you know, I think physically you can be attracted to multiple people, but I think when you have that connection with somebody, I think both of you, it's going, you know, whether monogamy was socially accepted or not, I think if you have that connection, I think you're automatically probably going to end up in a relationship, because you're going to want to spend time with each other. Right. Instead of all these other people. You know, and I think especially as you get older, like we talked about, right? Because I think when you're younger, you know, people like, you know, you like to have fun and whatnot, especially boys, young boys, right? Hormones. But I think as you get older, monogamy becomes more and more common. And my mom said this too, when she got back with her ex-husband. She said, men want a companion. And they do. I think especially,
we do.
You know, as you get older, you want a companion, right? Like you don't want a bunch of people. So maybe I think it can be unnatural to an extent, like when you're young and you're hormonal and you're having fun. But I think as you get older, I think it's a very natural thing, because you want a companion. You don't want a lot of companions. You just you're predominantly gonna want one. Right.
It kind of becomes more natural. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, I just wanted to get your perspective on it and let the listeners get like a female, the female side of the equation.
Yeah, it's a good thing to think about, right?
Yeah, most definitely. You know, but I'm done with all that. I'm done having fun, and you know, I've had enough fun in my time.
I go in phases.
More than enough fun. It's funny. I was telling one of my friends the other day, I said, the only thing I haven't done like some of my entertainment friends have done, who are like super famous and stuff and multi-millionaires. And maybe this is shallow, but only thing I haven't done yet is like gone to Dubai and had the table with all the bottles and all the models, and you know what I'm saying? And like I've done that with other entertainers, but I've always played, I've always just been in the back. I've never like been up front and all a part of it. You know what I'm saying?
What do? You buy one for the night or something?
No. I've done everything. They buy all the bottles and stuff like that, and everybody's just hanging out. But I've never been the
Okay.
person buying all the bottles and and all the models or whoever are, all the attention is on me, and I'm hooking all my friends up, and you know what I'm saying. And me and my friend was talking about this other day, and he was like, "Man, that's gonna happen with you." I said, "But yeah, but I'll let y'all have fun. I'll just pay for the bottles and stuff, and you guys do it. I'll just be with the one person that's with me." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm over it. That's the only thing I haven't done. Like when you get to a certain celebrity in our business, where you're able to do, so you know what I'm trying to say? That's the only thing I haven't done.
I've done it from like a Hollywood perspective.
Yeah.
So, when I first moved here, we would go to, how there are like the club promoters at the clubs. And so, I would always be like one of the girls at the table, like the hot girl at the table.
Yeah.
So, we'd have the guy friends who are the club promoters.
Yeah.
And, and they're actually bringing it back, which I'm supposed to be before this all happened. And I'm a little disappointed, but every Sunday in Hollywood, they have jazz night. You should come actually some night. It's really fun.
Yeah.
So my friend, I had a couple of guy friends that did this. Now it's, his name is Jen. He used to do it back in the day, and now we're going to be starting it again. But he was the big promoter. So
Jen, the Asian Jen? Oh, I know Jen. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone knows Jen.
Yeah, I know Jen.
Yeah. So so they're bringing it back.
Yeah.
And it's the old singer and everything. She was like the resident girl there on Sundays. Like she's amazing. But yeah, so Jen, he would have the bottles at the tables, and we were one of the girls.
I know Jen really well. Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah. And I loved it because I got free drinks. So.
Yeah. It was awesome. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yes, but like I said, I'm over it. When that time comes and I'm doing that, I'm over it. But I've been to Hollywood before and bought bottles at tables, but it wasn't like as a millionaire. It wasn't like on that level. Like some of my friends have done it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just trying to milk my looks for as long as I can because I'm gonna be 40 in like 3 years, and that terrifies me.
You'll be fine. You're still gonna look the same. You're still gonna be fine as hell. You have nothing to worry about. Trust me.
I know. I just like I'm trying to do like modeling gigs and everything as much as I can right now because your skin only looks so good for so long.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna have a problem. Anyway, you stay safe, have fun in Palm Springs. That's like an hour away from me. We go there all the time because it's so close. Well,
because I'm going to see my guy Friday tomorrow, and then
you guys gonna drive out? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not bringing him.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to. I don't want to tell her I've been with anyone.
Gotcha.
Quarantined.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go down there Friday night, spend the night with him. I think he'll probably want to hang out Saturday day. I don't know, but then so I'll probably drive to her maybe like Saturday night or something, depending.
Yeah, it's an easy drive. Like for me, it's like an hour tops. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know.
From where I am, yeah.
She's technically in India, which is I think
a little bit further. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm
still not that bad.
I might just be there most of the week because I have a friend in Phoenix too, and that's also like 2 hours from there. So I'm just gonna pick up and go.
Yeah, why not? Especially if your friends have been cool and they've been taking care of themselves and stuff and not been out and about. Yeah. So it's all good.
It'll be fun. Warm weather.
I'll just be here hanging out,
Quarantining by the pool.
Exactly. Anyway, guys, we'll see you guys next Monday, man. Hopefully that sheds some light on monogamy. Either way, whatever you're thinking on it.
And if you're not monogamous, that's okay too.
Yeah, that's okay too. Yeah.
Scientifically, your brain might be wired differently, right?
Yep, like she says in the article. Yeah,
you might have different hormones. So I think, I think people, if you're not monogamous by nature, can find each other. And create those open relationships.
I agree.
As long as you're honest. Yeah.
I agree. Yep, that's true. That's another side of it. I completely agree. Don't forget to follow us on social media, guys. On YouTube, it's ISENT Group Digital. Subscribe. And it's Imani, Shakur, Rachel K. Burke. And we will see you guys next Monday, where we expose the truth and broadcast the lies virtually until this.
Till further notice.
Right, till further notice, until this quarantine is over. It's Relationship, Romance, and Quarantine podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And we'll see you guys next week. I'll see you soon, Rach. Have fun this weekend. All right, bye.
Thank you.
Peace.
Too. Bye.